The town that vanished overnight in America, and no one knows why. In the vast landscape of the United States, hidden between highways, forests, and quiet rural valleys, there are thousands of towns. Some are busy, some are forgotten, and some are slowly fading with time. But there is one town, one strange place, whose story stands apart from all the rest. A town that didn't fade gradually, a town that didn't die because of economics or crime or politics, a town that didn't burn down, flood, or collapse. Instead, it vanished, completely, instantly, without warning. No emergency calls, no evacuation orders, no traces of struggle or panic, just silence. Homes left open, plates left on tables, clothes hanging up, cars parked neatly in garages, school bags still lined up by front doors. A ghost town born in a single night. To this day, the disappearance of Raven Hollow, a small American community tucked deep within the forests of northern Pennsylvania, remains one of the strangest unsolved mysteries in U.S. history. Some say it was a government cover-up. Others whisper about a dangerous experiment gone wrong. A few believe the townspeople simply walked into the woods and never returned. But the truth? No one knows. And this story, over 40 years later, still haunts anyone who hears it. To understand Raven Hollow, you first need to understand what it used to be. Before the mystery, before the silence, before the confusion, Raven Hollow was the kind of peaceful rural town you'd expect to see in an old American postcard. Population 482, a single grocery store, a diner everyone loved, a gas station with one attendant, a brick schoolhouse with 2 classrooms, and a long main street lined with wooden houses, each with a porch swing. People in Raven Hollow lived simply. They hunted in the fall, they fished in the summer, they gathered for church on Sundays, and they trusted one another deeply. The town barely appeared on state maps, and most outsiders had never heard of it. Those who accidentally passed through described it as friendly, quiet, and almost frozen in time. But beneath that peaceful charm, Raven Hollow had something else, something most Americans didn't know. A single road in, a single road out, and dense, endless forests surrounding it for miles, like a hidden world. A world the outside rarely entered, a world where almost anything could happen. A world where something did happen, something no one can explain. The day before Raven Hollow vanished was completely normal. Children went to school, families ate at the diner, workers in the lumber mill finished their shifts, a local couple celebrated their anniversary. Teenagers hung out near the creek as usual. There were no strange reports, no weird weather patterns, no mysterious strangers, no warnings. But later, investigators would notice one odd detail. At exactly 7:13 p.m., every household with a working radio reported brief static, a short burst of interference that lasted between 3 to 5 seconds. Nothing dramatic, nothing alarming, just soft white static. People shrugged it off. Technology wasn't perfect at the time. No one thought it meant anything. But the next morning, Raven Hollow would be gone. On Tuesday morning, a delivery truck from a nearby town attempted to enter Raven Hollow with packages, newspapers, and groceries. The driver, who had been visiting the town for 15 years, immediately sensed that something was wrong. There were no people outside. The streets were empty. The usually noisy school playground, silent. Not a single dog barked, not a single car passed, not a single human sound anywhere. At first, he thought perhaps the town was holding an event, but then he noticed the details. The diner was open, but no customers. Fresh coffee was still warm in the pot. A half-eaten slice of pie sat on a counter. A radio behind the cashier desk still played softly. He stepped outside again, his heart pounding. He walked to a nearby house. The front door was slightly open. Inside, breakfast plates sat on a family table, half-eaten pancakes, syrup dripping down the side. A child's chair had fallen as if someone stood up too quickly. A TV was still on, showing morning cartoons. But no family. The entire house was vacant. This wasn't normal. This wasn't peaceful. This was wrong. He backed out slowly, rushed to his truck, and called state authorities. Within hours, Raven Hollow became the center of one of the strangest investigations in Pennsylvania history. When law enforcement arrived, they expected chaos. They expected signs of a mass evacuation or a town-wide emergency. But instead, they found nothing. No bodies, no blood, no signs of violence, no damage, no tire tracks suggesting a sudden mass departure, no footprints leading out of town. Instead, they found fresh meals left on tables, a bus mid-route with the engine still warm, a school lesson half written on the chalkboard, a grocery bag filled with melting ice cream near a doorstep, a dog tied to a fence barking desperately, a lawnmower running in the middle of an unfinished yard, a fishing boat drifting slowly in the lake with fishing lines still dropped. Life had paused, but life had not ended. Everything looked frozen at a single moment in time, like 482 people just stood up and walked away in perfect silence. Investigators tried to explain what happened, but every theory fell apart. Mass evacuation was impossible. There were no notices, no messages, no vehicles missing, no tire tracks, no footprints leading out of town. Environmental poisoning showed nothing unusual in the soil, water, or air. Chemical spills had no facilities within 100 miles that could cause it. Kidnapping or cult events were impossible on such a large scale. And why would 482 people leave food, pets, belongings, money, and vehicles behind? The theory of a government experiment remains popular among locals. The forest around the town was once used for military testing decades earlier, but no records confirm this. The paranormal or unexplainable event theory remains popular among mystery groups. The radio static on the night before? Still unexplained. The sudden disappearance? Unmatched in U.S. history. There is one detail investigators rarely talk about publicly, but people in nearby towns still whisper about it. The only road leading out of Raven Hollow, the same road the delivery man used, had changed overnight. It looked the same, but the older locals noticed something odd. The trees on both sides were freshly burned, as if struck by lightning or something much stronger. But there were no storms, no lightning, no reports of fire. Yet the scorch marks were unmistakable. Some said it looked like something extremely powerful moved through the forest. Others said it looked like a barrier had been shut. What kind of barrier? No one could answer. After months of investigation, Raven Hollow was officially declared uninhabitable due to unexplained circumstances. The government fenced off the entire area. Warning signs were placed, no entry, federal property. Locals say the town was never demolished. It still stands, untouched. Homes frozen in time, cars gathering dust, streetlights still standing. The diner still holding plates on tables. And the strangest part? The school bell still rings on windy days, even though no one lives there, even though no child has entered that building in decades. Over the years, a few groups have tried to sneak into Raven Hollow. Urban explorers, paranormal researchers, former residents' relatives. But almost every group reported their cameras malfunctioning, GPS stopped working, and radios picking up the same static from 40 years ago. They heard faint sounds, voices, footsteps, or a